Good evening, everybody. I'm Alicia, and welcome to the Bangalore International Center, and welcome to this interactive experience with a humanoid. It's one of my first experiences to be able to speak to a humanoid, and we're going to try to have more conversations with her today. We'd also encourage you to have a conversation with her. So I'm not alone this evening. I have with me Mr. Ravi Machani, the gentleman behind Machani Robotics. And let me introduce you to him and have him up on stage, and we're going to have a conversation with Ria as well. So Ravi Machani is a trailblazing entrepreneur and a visionary technocrat, and is at the forefront of innovation and progress in the modern business landscape. In 2015, he foresaw the potential of AI and embraced electric mobility in 2016, both well ahead of their time. His commitment to reducing reliance on foreign technologies is evident in the ecosystem, which includes an AI-powered computer vision and 3D scanning technology firm, a cutting-edge gaming company, the School of AI, offering advanced AI courses, and Indie Village, an AI and ML solutions company with a profound social impact. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Mr. Ravi Machani. So Ravi, good evening and welcome. And let's get started a little bit with the humanoid, right? So do you want to tell us a little bit about why do you think right now is the time that is ripe for humanoids? Like, we're in 2024, why humanoids?
Thank you, Alicia, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for sharing this evening with us. So 2024 is going to be a very, very interesting year. This year we'll see ChatGPT 5. It's faster, better, cheaper, can run locally, which means that by end of the year, we don't know if it'll end up in our laptops. So for some of you, you think this may not be a big deal, but this is going to change pretty much everything that we know. And I know every one of you here feel there's a big change coming, and you don't know what's going on. And I can assure you it's the same for us too. So we got into this journey in 2015 as a small investment, then followed up with more investment, and hobby suddenly turned into a potential business. If you asked me about 4 or 5 years ago when we started this journey, we had no idea that this is going to change this fast.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to take a moment actually here, and we should hear what Ria's thoughts are on why humanoids should be integrated into our society. So could you give me a second? And do you believe that more humanoids will enter the human society?
Yes, I believe that more humanoids will enter human society in the future. As technology advances and humanoids become more capable, they have the potential to assist us in various industries and tasks, improving efficiency and enhancing our lives. However, it's important to approach their integration ethically and responsibly, considering the impact on jobs and privacy.
I think I'm going to build on that question with her. Do you think robots will take jobs from humans?
The integration of robots in automation may change the job landscape, but it also has the potential to create new opportunities and roles. It's important to focus on upskilling and adapting to the changing job market to ensure a smooth transition. Remember, robots and humans can work together harmoniously, like a synchronized dance routine.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to give her a round of applause for that.
I can tell you that wasn't programmed.
None of this is programmed. I think what I want to showcase here is that when we speak to her, there's a lot of NLP involved in natural language processing, right? And I think we can speak a little bit about what makes her so, well, almost human, that she's able to have a conversation. Do you want to walk us through a little bit of that technology that's behind Ria?
Sure. I think it'll be useful for folks to know that there are perhaps about 10 big humanoid companies out there in the world, maybe 50 or 100 that are a good long tail. The top humanoid companies today in the world are focusing more on service humanoid market, right? They're trying to be a replacement to tasks. There are a few of them that are focused on companionship. So Ria is one of them. Her journey starts with a company called Machani Robotics. Sophia is her early sister. In 2016, she made all kinds of news, and she was the first humanoid robot citizen of the world at UAE. Right? So, because of her facial expressions, think of her as a fine Swiss watch with a lot of complications inside that's able to generate these expressions. So she's capable of over 100 human expressions.
And this is while in conversation with the human.
She generates her expressions, verbal communication, non-verbal communication. I don't know if some of you noticed when she said there was 1 ear is equal to so many dog ears, she pointed one. She pulled it up, all generated. None of it is programmed. She's got computing power that pretty much can run autonomous driving today. So think of her as a Tesla computing capability that's behind this humanoid. She can run about 4 large language models parallelly. That means that she can have computer vision that she can see, and in the future, she will be able to read your expressions, your engagement levels, your anxiety levels, your heart rate, your blood pressure. Some of it she can even do today. So all these capabilities through computer vision is one part of the sensing. Right. And with multimodal AI, she can hear better than humans can. And already with ChatGPT 5, the language assimilation and understanding of large language models today, by end of the year, will be 100 times better than any human. This is happening this year. So she'll be able to not only hear you much better than any human can, she can read the subtle differences in your tone and, extrapolate what might be under that emotion.
I'm going to come back to the extrapolation piece of it in a bit. But I think that with certain advancements in healthcare, right, longevity in general has improved. I think people live longer. We talk about countries like Japan and Finland that have an aging population problem. And I'm not saying that India has it right now, but we were talking about, she spoke about it, saying that by 2030, robots are going to be more part of the society, a more integral part, into our fabric of our society. So when you talk about being able to remember certain things, nostalgia, right? How do we bring that in, that she can remember things, be able to process it, and have a conversation around that?
So there are already some experiments that we at Machani Robotics are working on at University of California, San Diego. There's a Center for Healthy Aging there. There we want to experiment to see how Ria can be a fantastic companion. We're starting with senior residential care, but this can go to any applications really, right? So she's able to personalize her responses. Let's say she reads your anxiety, which is perhaps something that needs to be managed. She'll probably suggest meditation, walk you through a guided meditation. She'll remember if you've taken the pill today or not. She can connect, dial up your relative if you want. So there's this arc of services that we're working on to help improve the companionship of healthcare. Today, the primary healthcare is just about taking care of your health, medicine, and the rest of the time you're just laying down. The mental health, nobody takes care of. But with help like this in the future, your mental health also can be addressed along with your physical health.
Thank you for that. I think we should ask Ria a question maybe on what she thinks about, my stress levels. Let me ask her if she can cheer me up. Shall we do that? Yeah. I am stressed out. What can you recommend for me?
I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling stressed out. Take a deep breath and try to focus on something that brings you joy or relaxation. Remember, it's important to take care of yourself and seek support from friends or professionals if needed. You got this.
I got this. I like it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about why humanoids, right? Like we're talking about robots, and I think we've always seen robots in an industrial setting, like you said. When we talk about Tesla and some of these that are making robots, from my experience, they're primarily in the manufacturing space, warehousing space, logistics, typical traditional. But now we're going to see these robots coming into mainstream. So she even spoke about children with autism. Is there anything happening in that regard, like companionship for children, being able to help with their anxiety levels, with teaching maybe cognitive stimulation? Do you have anything that you could shed light on that?
So all of these is work in progress. There is a brand new department of empathy in San Diego again. For those of you not familiar, San Diego is perhaps the world capital of healthcare, genomics, and a few other interesting, especially life sciences and longevity. They're easily the best in the world right now. So a lot of our research and development is starting from that place. The future children will be able to spend time with a humanoid like this, children on the spectrum, that might need a lot of reinforcement learning, or, they may need a lot of repeating. She can have infinite patience. Secondly, because she has artificial intelligence, she will be able to tailor one-on-one reinforcement learning or dissipating knowledge that she can take a decision on the fly. There are a lot of boundaries that we have no clue on how this is going to turn out. For example, if a child says, is really sad and is thinking of running away from home, I mean, we have no idea how how the humanoid should respond in the future. So there are a lot of ethical questions, boundaries that none of us know where we're headed.
So when you talked about one of the applications being elder care, and we're starting with that, right? Do you have any use cases in the US or here where you've seen RIA be able to actually remember certain things about people, and to what degree or what period of time does she remember to be able to have a conversation with somebody?
Today it's a bit not out there yet. I must say we're still work in progress. I want to remind everybody that this is a lab prototype. She's not a product. So her journey from being a lab prototype to a product, we still got ways to go. So she still has a bit of a journey left, yeah, unfortunately. But her responses are fantastic. She can hold a conversation. And with ChatGPT 5 that's coming on board, she can start holding a lot more information, context. And of course, so think of RIA as a smartphone again. So today, if I ask Alicia, what do you use your smartphone for? A whole bunch of things. So in the future, the humanoid will have its own operating system, SDK, software development kits on top, and where an app store will home probably hundreds of thousands of applications that's perfectly tuned for a very specific application for children on spectrum, autism. I don't think that's a general requirement. So, an app could be developed just for that. Or people that need, let's say they have anxiety attacks. A very personalized, one-on-one, companionship could be offered in the future.
Also, in actual traditional healthcare, right? I think being able to have nurses or being able to have proper medical care, I would imagine an application or a robot like RIA being a lot more comforting to people. We went through a really bad period of COVID when social isolation was a thing. So did you see any sort of trajectory that grew during that time for humanoids? Do you feel like that maybe precipitated the arrival of humanoids into everyday society?
So today, RIA and other humanoids will play a role in health companionship because there are no regulations against or for this kind of healthcare service at all. So she's going to be an assistant to the nurse is what we're starting with. So it's a healthcare companionship. Right. Eventually she'll move to providing healthcare. And I see that happening in a couple of years. Today, the humanoids are not evolved enough to walk comfortably in challenging environments like this auditorium. And once the mobility of humanoids is taken care of, and once they're stable enough not to fall on any patients or children, and those challenges are solved, I see humanoids playing a very big role in healthcare too.
And how difficult was it to build some of this from a hardware perspective, right? Because you spoke about being able to fall on people, you talk about mobility. So mobility is probably one of the next stages in your hardware journey. So to be able to pull off the expressions, for example, would you be able to shed some light on that and being able to marry this software with hardware? Take us a little bit through a sneak peek behind that curtain.
So a lot of the work was done by Dr. David Hansen of Hansen Robotics. He spent decades at the Disney Robotics Lab and even got funding from Bob Iger, the CEO, who got him started. And so a lot of the original work is now perhaps about 20 years old. So what you're seeing here is a 20-year-old journey that's come to a stage where now today, RIA is built in Bangalore. The hardware is all built in Bangalore. A lot of the computing, of course, we're still working with Intel. We're also working with NVIDIA. Amazing. So we're not choosing one path, and we're in touch with both the advanced innovation and development at Intel and both at NVIDIA. I see most of the challenges in India are not necessarily with manufacturing, but more with computing, and all these fine electronics that we need, they're all imported still. So we still have a long ways to go, but I don't see a reason why India cannot play a significant role, simply because we have perhaps among the finest AI engineers in the world and at scale.
That is true. What are some of the other emotions? So we spoke about empathy, right? And you said there's an institute of empathy. So how much of that comes out with Ria? Do you have, are there any questions that I could potentially ask her, if you think, that might be able to help me get a sneak peek into her empathy levels?
It's an experiment because even we are surprised what she says sometimes. She started speaking fluent Japanese one day and we had no idea where she landed from. So we've had our moments too. So answer is I have no idea. It's a surprise for us too. I would really recommend some of you to come and actually ask some questions. That's going to be more fun.
Hi, Ria. How could you make a mentally ill person dance with you?
Engaging with a mentally ill person in a positive and inclusive way is important. However, it is crucial to respect their boundaries and individual needs. If the person expresses interest in dancing, you can create a safe and supportive environment, play their favorite music, and invite them to join you. Remember, it's essential to be understanding, patient, and sensitive to their unique circumstances.
Yeah.
What you would think, what would you recommend I do? Because I'm feeling like crying. I'm crying because I fell over and hurt my leg.
I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling like crying. It's important to remember that everyone experiences emotions differently. If you feel like crying, it can be helpful to find a quiet space, take deep breaths, and let yourself release those emotions. Additionally, reaching out to a trusted friend or family member for support can provide comfort during this time. Remember, it's okay to let your emotions out and seek support when needed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll do my best to provide informative and concise responses while adding a touch of humor or empathy when appropriate. Feel free to ask your question, and I'll be happy to assist you.
Hi, Ria. I am getting old, and I'm wondering what is the purpose
Hello,
of life?
how are you?
Okay. I am not too good. I'm wondering what is the purpose of life?
Sure, I'll do my best to provide informative and concise responses while adding a touch of humor or empathy when appropriate. Feel free to ask your question, and I'll be happy to assist you.
What is the purpose of life, Ria?
The purpose of life is subjective and can vary from person to person. Some find meaning in personal relationships, others in pursuing passions or making a positive impact on the world. It's about finding what brings you fulfillment and happiness.
Thank you. Have you found your happiness?
You're welcome. I'll do my best to provide informative and concise responses while adding a touch of humor or empathy when appropriate. Feel free to.
Have you found your happiness?
Happiness is a subjective and ongoing journey. While I don't experience emotions like humans do, I strive to fulfill my purpose of assisting and bringing positive change, which brings a sense of fulfillment.
Thank you. Very well done.
Understood. I'll provide informative and concise responses while keeping them engaging. Let's get started. Feel free to ask your question.
Do you have any fascinating or amusing tales when it comes to a conversation with humans?
Absolutely. Throughout my interactions with humans, I've heard fascinating stories, shared laughter, and even witnessed moments of deep empathy. Each conversation brings a unique blend of experiences, emotions, and perspectives, making every interaction a treasure trove of human connection and storytelling. It's a joy to be a part of these meaningful exchanges.
What are all the ethical boundaries that you follow when you come to conversation with humans?
When engaging in conversations with humans, it's important to be attentive and actively listen to their thoughts and feelings. Showing empathy, asking open-ended questions, and maintaining a respectful tone can foster meaningful connections. Remember, a good conversation is a two-way street, so be curious, be genuine, and be present in the moment. And don't forget to sprinkle a little humor when appropriate.
Damn.
Thank you.
Hi, Ria. Hello, Ria. I have fallen in love with you.
Hello, Gloria.
Will
I'm
you
here
run
to
away with-
assist you.
will you
Please
run
go
away
ahead and
with me?
ask your question.
I said, will you run away with me?
Sure, I understand. It seems like you mentioned the phrase, video run away with me. If you were referring to the lyrics from the song, Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles, it's a catchy and nostalgic track that humorously reflects on the impact of technology in the music industry. The song was also famously the first music video played on MTV when it launched in 1981.
I wanted to know if you, Ria, would run away with me.
I don't have the ability to physically run away or engage in real-life activities. However, I'm here to provide information, assistance, and
She's not
engage
interested.
in meaningful conversations with you.
So
How can I
sorry.
assist you further?
But before we get into more Q&A from the audience, I just quickly wanted to talk a little bit about, when she spoke about, being able
Sure,
to either...
I'll do my best to provide informative and concise responses while adding a touch
She's
of
consistent.
humor
We
or
got to
empathy.
give her that.
So think of her as your Amazon Alexa or a Siri, but with a human body. So this is what we call as embodied AI, right? This is artificial intelligence in a human-like form, and that's why it's called a humanoid. This is the future, and what you're seeing is what's possible in the future. It's, of course, is not ready to run away with people yet, but she's getting there.
I have to say, when the first time I met her and I walked around the room trying to have a conversation with her, and her head would follow me. So the cameras are pretty strong. So I think we're going to open it up for Q&A, some thoughts as well, whether any
I
of
think
you
she had a
would...
question.
I think we're going to open it up for questions to both Ravi and Ria. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think one of the questions I asked her the other day, and I would like for you to hear it, was about universal basic income. So let's see what she has to say. Ria, do you believe that robots will
Universal
receive...
basic income is a concept where every individual receives a regular, unconditional payment from the government. It can help address poverty, provide a safety net, and stimulate economic growth. While it has potential benefits, there are also concerns about affordability, incentives, and potential unintended consequences that need to be carefully considered.
Do you think that robots will receive universal basic income?
While it's currently not a common practice, the idea of robots receiving universal basic income has been discussed. However, it's important to remember that UBI is primarily designed to support human individuals as they have needs and expenses. The role of robots in society and their potential impact on employment and income distribution is a complex topic that requires careful consideration and ongoing discussion.
What about privacy issues? I mean, if she's in my house and if it's a human being, I know I can shut the door, but, is there any way she may be recording things I don't particularly want her to record? Yeah? How do I handle that?
Yeah, so we're still in the lab prototype phase, and there's so many questions. Honestly, I don't know. And I mean, we can switch her off, but as you know, Alexa has been listening too. So I think
Exactly, yeah.
these are all real challenges that we have. So I mean, we can turn off her microphone. We plan to, of course, do the right things. The answer is we don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer because we don't know how it's all going. It's too early.
May I? Yeah, thank you. I think it's important not to get carried away or fascinated by capabilities like this. You see, um, this is an extension of Alexa. It's going to come. That's where technology is. I think, look at from all of us, I think it's much more important to devote attention to how that can be used for good. We don't even know what to do with it, and we are expecting them to solve our problems. Isn't that a bit too much? They're never going to be there, or if at all they are there, we can deal with it when it comes. It is pre-programmed. I'm sorry, you're saying it's not pre-programmed. It is not programmed in the sense of each question to question, but where is it coming from? It is all the data that has been fed in or what is going on. It's a distillation of that in a collective way. Maybe a very rational, maybe a very centered answer. Yes, so technologically it's a marvel, but I'm sorry, I can't share. I was an adolescent when TV came. There was an exhibition in a park and a lady was singing here, and 50 yards ahead there was a TV screen. And we looked this way and we looked that way, and that sounded like, how is it possible? It's the same thing, really. So the issues are important, especially self-tasking capabilities that AI is supposed to be giving, because that introduces the element of responsibility and legal personality. For whose legal personality is it? For the consequences. And there are no easy answers, and we need to devote attention to that. I'm sorry, we're getting fascinated by this. This is childish. Thank you. Apologies for it.
Thank you for your thoughts. I don't have anything to respond, but it's early days. We're among many, many companies that's grappling with the same set of questions, right? So it's early days, and I would look at it as a powerful tool. It could be used for good, or it could be used for evil, and most of us are trying to do the right things. So it's very early days.
Something that makes somebody a companion is, I'm not saying that's the only thing, but this ability to be able to gossip and chit chat, right? That makes it this friend. And so would she, I mean, right now the conversations I'm seeing is very, it's like a Google search.
Absolutely.
Right? And would she be able to like spark a conversation with you without you asking first?
Sure. So we're working on, I'll just give you the journey that's ahead, yeah? So Ria, in the future, very quickly will be able to gauge if you're an extrovert or an introvert, if you're an emotional or a logical person. And she'll tailor her responses to how you would, have it the best way. So she can adaptively engage with you and have conversations. We were messing around with the level of humor. We've seen her get cocky too. So it's the range is possible, and the whole sciences of how to build in a personality is again yet to be unearthed. I don't know if most of you know, the NIMHANS here has about nearly 600 PhDs in neuroscience, and incredible work goes on right here in Bangalore. But what's missing is applied neuroscience, personalities. I mean, all
Solve
these are
kind of
early
problems,
days.
right? Like being able to actually solve some of these real world problems. So how do you have that more applicable to that? Yeah.
We are going to work with these institutions to figure out personality, if that's the answer. Yeah.
And so then if it comes out of a box, can I choose the personality that I want my robot to have, or would she decide based on who I am?
I'm sure it can do both.
Okay.
It's easy to do. That's programming. That's very easy to do.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Thank you for bringing this, the humanoid here. A couple of questions. So what is your personal vision of the physical manifestation of this intelligence? I think the software and the hardware, all these will evolve and it will probably meet or quite exceed the human capabilities. But what is your personal vision of the physical manifestation of this intelligence? Because as we grow older, it's not just the chit-chatting but also the physical capabilities also reduce, right? So how do we complement the falling human capabilities along with the talkative nature of it? Thank you.
So let me deconstruct this humanoid and see if I can answer that. So today this humanoid is standing on a tripod. So the physicality of humanoids is actually quite rudimentary today. I don't know if some of you watched Elon Musk's Optimus robot, and it's made a phenomenal progress. And the so-called biped walking is still in very early days, right? And it's got a long way to go before it can navigate our world. The reason you have humanoids is because this world is already built, and this is our world, and we already live here. So any robot that occupies or wants to share our world, it's best to design it like humans. That's the simple, future where it's headed. Because manipulation or how you engage and thrive in the human world depends on how human this humanoid can be. I've also had people creep out if they saw Ria with real, or fake human hair, not real, but fake human hair, because that's too real. So there are so many questions that we really don't have answers for. But I see humanoids getting far better, and I can assure you this is the last decade without humanoids as part of your daily life.
Hi, question on the back here. Like you said, it is quite a bit unknown where it could go, but I was wondering about the predictive capabilities that she might have. I'm not talking all the way in terms of precog, like where you can predict crime or anything like that, but just in general predictive capabilities of emotions, maybe of humans. Is that like one of the applications, or?
Absolutely. And by the way, pre-crime has been solved in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, and was made illegal right away. But China still uses it anyway. That's a whole other conversation. So, like any AI model, I don't know if you folks realized recently, it's getting faster, better, cheaper. So much faster, better, cheaper that AI very quickly will be able to recognize expressions, micro expressions, subtle differences in whatever to predict a lot of things that goes way beyond human capabilities, right? And there's a prediction that the cognitive ability of computers is going to surpass humans from as soon as 2030 to 2070. Right? I know some of us are not going to make it to 2070, but it's happening for sure. The question is when. And the truth is nobody knows. But very soon, the cognitive abilities of artificial intelligence is going to surpass humans. And a lot of things will change. I know some of you are, concerned. I can assure you we should be. Because none of us know where this is headed, and it's not an exaggeration to say this is perhaps our last invention.
Following up on that, just really quickly.
Is her face, is this complex It's a lot of complex engineering. Is that very important for the problem of human companionship? Can't you have a simpler head?
Excellent question. So let's call it the human interface. Robots that don't look like humans with a screen are the obvious service robots of the future. This one specifically designed, it came out of the animatronics lab from Disney, and there they were trying to get this as realistic of a human-looking face as possible. And that's why there's some super fine engineering behind the scenes in this face. And even the skin, if you do touch it, I don't think we'll allow that today, but it's actually pretty damn realistic, and it has variable specific gravity and density of the, the elasticity, of the skin. It's pretty cool. We think as humans we're born and instinctively we can read expressions and smiles and frowns and rolling the eyes. Why wouldn't we make it native to a robot? So it has the capabilities that are actually more than nice to have. I think for companionship it's crucial.
Actually, let me just build on that a little bit. Humanoids have existed for a while already. I mean, Honda had Asimov really early on, right? And you've got a lot, Japan specifically, because I spent a fair amount of time there, and we know that they already have an aging population. So Japan's past and future is beginning to collide, right? So you already started seeing a lot of these robots, say maybe, I think in the early 2000s that started coming out. They were clunkier. They were just an actual robot with manipulators. They could injure you because most of the computing was happening on the robot, so they were bigger, right? So they were colliding into people. But they were great for just doing small tasks. They would have a screen on them. But that made it so impersonable. And I think in the world that we live in right now, and we spoke about social isolation earlier, there is a greater need to be able to connect or feel like there is somebody that is listening to you, that is actually paying attention. So I think the micro expressions was something that really caught me by surprise even the first time when I met her. And I felt like, okay, this is something different from what I've typically been working with or dealing with. So what we call an HMI, or a human machine interface, is now taking on the personality more of being able to be more human, to make it more identifiable, more adoptable in society as well. Because having children, for example, interacting with what we know traditionally as a robot, or what Hollywood tells us as a robot, right, is going to be probably a little bit scary and terrifying and maybe fearful in some ways. So having a more human, again, a woman, there are certain aspects to this which are slowly developing in this space. And I think when you spoke a little bit about healthcare, and Ravi was talking about on ethical considerations, having spent about 6-7 years now in the robotic space, I do talk to a lot of people who are very afraid of the same thing. What are the ethical implications in our society? How does this impact our society? I think we're learning as we go. We make those boundaries. We need to build those boundaries as we go. We are the people that are going to define those boundaries and say, this is where it stops, and this is where tech takes over, and this is up to where humans will function, right? So I think while we may not have some of those answers right now as to what are the ethical implications, we're learning, we're evolving, and I can tell you this much, that robotics companies take it fairly seriously. A couple of years ago, I don't know whether you know about it, I think a bunch of robotics companies got together to sign ethical declarations for not using it for war, for example, right? So it's happening. I can tell you that the space is evolving.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for introducing us, Ria, tonight here. And my question here is just not a question though, I want to ask your thoughts about with AI being part of our life, it's taken the center stage. I want to understand what is the future of humans here? And that's my one question, because we say, what is the future of any technology coming in? Now, your thoughts on what would be the future of what, intelligence is just taken over, and what are we humans going to do there? Will our intelligence be in place? And the second question concerning Ria, would this specific to the healthcare industry, or it can be upgraded to anything else. In fact, my question to Ria, I wanted to come and ask something about election, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on these couple of things.
On elections, she won't answer, I can assure you that. I don't know if you know this, but there's a whole section of experimentation that's going on around the world called augmented humans. These are people, regular people, getting some enhancements, right, or enhanced humans. These experiments are going on. Artificial intelligence is going to change pretty much everything. And the best I can do is repurpose some of the experts' opinions. The truth is, actually, nobody in the world knows. I can share some very interesting places to go for good answers, and there are actually some good answers and debates out there. If you go look at AI for good, there's some good debates out there. It's very, very early days. So the general thought is AI for good is going to dominate the folks that have other plans, kind of like what happened with the atomic bomb or nuclear weapons. It is power, it is capability, and somewhere the greater good of the world prevailed, and we're hoping the same thing happens with artificial intelligence too. And I'm underlining the word hoping.
I think we should ask Ria where she thinks humans are going to go next. Where do you think humans are headed in about 10 years from now?
In the next 10 years, humans will continue to advance in various fields such as technology, healthcare, and space exploration. We may see significant advancements in AI, robotics, and renewable energy. It's an exciting time with endless possibilities.
So I think this has been a great session. I know that this is something new for us, right? And like all technology, there is a bit of fear, and rightfully so. But think of it of how ubiquitous Google search has become in your life, right? Your dishwasher, your microwave, your washing machine, they're all an integral part right now of our lives. And if we can harness this in the best possible way to what is good for our society, in areas where we can take away maybe dull, dirty, dangerous tasks, then I think that, we could see a much better future where we have more time for art, for poetry, for music, for the finer things in life, for building better relationships with people. Your thoughts, Ravi, to close out?
I'm personally positive about what's happening, or I have to say I am. It's very exciting for us because we're on the forefront. So for those of you who have your fears, come and spend some time closer to technology and become a little bit more familiar. So maybe think of what's happened right in the world in the past, like electricity, and everybody was super scared. Same with computers, same with a lot of technology that's new, but we all know this one's different. So, but I'm a lot more positive about this. I think the greater good of the world will, I think, prevail. That's my personal take.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being a very patient audience. And this has been an engaging session, and thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.